Final update, my daughter's best friend showed up crying with boxes. One look inside and I knew everything. Turns out my daughter had an affair with her boyfriend. Now I'm struggling to understand how it all went wrong. She was fuming at this point, pacing back and forth, her hands clenched into fists. You're acting like I don't care, but I do, Dad. I messed up, okay, but I can't just stop seeing him. I can't pretend he doesn't matter to me. I felt a mixture of frustration and disappointment boiling up. Tina, you can be with him if that's what you want, but don't expect me to welcome him with open arms. This trip is for our family, and I don't want him there. She started crying, which only made me feel worse, but I couldn't let myself cave. Are you going to let this go? She asked, her voice breaking. When are you going to stop treating me like the bad guy? I shook my head, feeling more exhausted than ever. Tina, you made a choice that hurt a lot of people, especially Maya, and now you're choosing to stay with him even after everything that happened. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you have to understand that your actions have consequences. This is one of them.
She looked at me with this mix of anger and hurt, and for a second, I almost felt like I was looking at a stranger.
I didn't recognize this version of my daughter, this person who couldn't see beyond her own feelings. But everyone else gets to bring their partners, she argued, her voice sounding more desperate now. Why am I the only one who doesn't get to bring someone? Because none of them did what you did, Tina, I replied, my voice calm but firm. You can't just pretend like this didn't happen. Actions have consequences, and this is one of them. She stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her, and I was left sitting there feeling drained. I hated how things had come to this, how our once close relationship had turned into this tense, uncomfortable mess. I wanted to forgive her, to move past this, but every time I tried, I'd think about Maya's face that day she came over, broken and lost. I'd think about how my daughter was the reason for that pain, and it was like a wall went up between us. The days leading up to the trip were tense to say the least. Tina barely spoke to me, and when she did, it was short and cold. I could tell she was still holding out hope that I'd change my mind, but I wasn't about to budge. This was a line I couldn't cross, no matter how much it hurt. On the day we left, Tina was sulking, sitting in the back of the car with her arms crossed, her eyes fixed out the window. My other kids were chatting, excited about the trip, but Tina sat there in silence, like she was in her own world. Part of me wanted to say something, to try and fix things, but I knew there was nothing I could say that would change how she felt. She was angry, and honestly, I understood why, but that didn't mean I was going to let her walk all over me just because she didn't like my decision. When we got to the resort, Tina kept to herself for most of the trip, only joining us for meals and the occasional family activity. She'd show up, put on a polite smile, and then slip back into that cold, distant attitude. It hurt seeing her like that, knowing our relationship had been so damaged, but I still felt like I'd made the right call. I wasn't about to let one bad decision wreck this trip for everyone. In the end, the vacation was nice, but there was always that tension lingering in the background. Every time I looked at Tina, I could feel it, this unspoken frustration between us. I knew things wouldn't go back to normal anytime soon, but I hoped that maybe, just maybe, she'd come to understand why I'd done what I did. I wasn't trying to punish her, I was trying to set a boundary, to show her that actions have consequences, even if they're uncomfortable. After the vacation, the tension between Tina and me didn't go away, it just got worse. She barely spoke to me, and when she did, it was short, almost cold. My wife, trying to play peacemaker, finally sat me down and told me, you need to talk to her. This can't go on. I knew she was right, so the next day,